Once again, today's top stories. London has endured another night of German bombing. Most damage was concentrated in the East End. The RAF has struck enemy aerodromes in London.
Hello, I'm Conkling. Good of you to come. I trust you're finding the accommodation satisfactory? You're welcome. White Star's anxious for everyone to be as comfortable as possible, particularly on the maiden voyage. Sorry to seem mysterious. You must understand someone in my position, an investor in this ship, needs discretion. You're under no obligation, of course. I have a slight problem. You may be able to help. A servant has stolen an important business document from me, and I must recover it. A few years ago, my wife Beatrix hired a young Irish girl as maid in our London house. We treated her well. 2 weeks ago, she up and left without notice, taking a certain letter with her. I'd given up all hope of recovering it, until my wife spotted her this morning on the third-class promenade. Needless to say, I checked with the purser. She'd been scheduled to sail on the Philadelphia. But those passengers were transferred on board the Titanic because of a coal strike. Yes, you could say so. I'd prefer to employ the services of a third party. You. Government officials, friends of mine, told me a bureau agent was on board. I found you through Mrs. Cashmore, a preposterous woman, but she does have an eye for accomplishment. Look, will you help me? You will be rewarded handsomely. Her name is Shayla Hacker. She's 20 or thereabouts. I was her benefactor, one might say. Yes. This puts me in a difficult situation. This young woman, she could cause considerable damage to me, to my reputation if she goes to the newspapers. Confidential business matters. Conkling Steel provides steel for ships. This ship, for example. If the contents of the letter were publicized, our competitors would profit greatly. I've gotten word to her to meet on the poop deck. Go in my place. Tell her there'll be no trouble if she returns the letter. Afterwards, report to me in our suite, B59. Her name is Shayla Hacker. Good night.
A fine night to be indoors, cold as the dickens outside. Cold but clear. Clear as a bell, and the stars, oh, you should see 1,000,000 stars in God's firmament. A congregation of light. The name's Trout. The Reverend Edgar. I'm returning from a mission in Africa, to Sunapee, New Hampshire, where I live. Emily, my wife, she's dead. Thank you. We had looked forward to this journey. But she died at Port Said. Though it was Nyasaland that killed her, the doctors, you know, never did find all the parasites. Calling on Miss Pringle? She has been invaluable this voyage, a pillar. Oh yes, we're very glad she's with us. They say you met Trask. Be wary of him. Trask's a trickster. Take this card, a prayer card, from my own collection. So you must like it, this section of the Titanic. Here, second class. You can get to Scotland Road from here. Do you know it? Scotland Road? Scotland Road runs the length of the ship, from stern to bow on E-deck. It allows the crew to get from one side to the other quickly. I could go to third class if I take the Scotland Road. But I don't believe in social mixing. No, it creates too much anxiety. A place for everyone and everyone a place. Though some don't choose to see it that way. In the course of my ministrations, I've observed a gentleman from first class, a young German, among the steerage women. Most unnatural. I haven't said anything. I wouldn't want to upset the ladies. Especially Miss Pringle. She seems a fragile vessel. Behind me, through those doors. Wait, before you leave, I was wondering, perhaps you'd care to make a donation to our mission in Nyasaland. Sorry to have bothered you. Perhaps another time. Good evening.
What did I tell you, Shay? I knew he'd not come in person.
Hush, Jack, hush. Conklin, he did send you, didn't he?
I told you, it's a trick. I knew Conklin wouldn't come. He sent one of his cronies instead. I'm her brother. And Conklin, because of him, Shayla's had to leave everything and everyone she knows.
Jack, no.
That son of a bitch. She was his maid and all the time violating it.
Hush, Jack. I'll have no more of it. Go on, Jack, say it.
You tell Conklin we have his letter, and he'll not be seeing it till he coughs up a tidy sum, too. 5,000, do you hear? Dollars. Enough to get her started right in America. And if he moves a hand against us, I'll make sure the newspapers get the letter and print it. So tell Conklin. 5,000. Measured against what he has, it's a bloody bargain.
Meet us here again, at 1 tonight.
$5,000, then he'll get his damn letter. Agreed?
We'll be waiting for you.
Yes, can I help you? Perhaps. As purser, I'm in charge of the Titanic's passengers. Have you a name? If you do, I can tell you their cabin number. Mr. Conkling is in cabin B59. I live to serve. As purser, I arrange dinner reservations. I live to serve.
Come in. I'd hoped to meet you earlier. However, my wife and I were calling on the Astors. Madeline's pregnant. Beatrix was thrilled. We have no children. I see. It's a ransom. May I present Mrs. Conkling?
You should pitch the ungrateful girl overboard. Your clothes, French cut, quite fetching. I forgot to tell you when we first met.
Beatrix is on her way to California. She's got a new project in... Where is it, dear?
A cow town, someplace called Los Angeles. I'm doing up a little resort there. It's called the Beverly Hills Hotel. So, where is the Irish tart? Dreaming of her newfound riches?
We were just talking about that, darling.
My husband and myself extended every courtesy, showed every kindness to Shayla. We've no children. Shayla became quite dear to us. So her theft hurt us all the more for the trust we placed in her. Don't fail us. Now, excuse me, I must retire. I have a frightful headache. It was a pleasure. Good night. Andrew?
My wife felt strongly about Shayla. As I've told you, we'd no children of our own. Look, you must get that letter. Don't wait until tomorrow. See if you can speak to Shayla directly, without her brother. She's in the third-class cabins forward, on F deck, number 59. Good night. I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Aren't allowed in the engine room. Step aside before I call a fireman to chuck you out.
Jack, is that you? I'll be right out. I don't want to wake the baby. Oh. But we were meeting later. Where's Jack? Please, I don't want no trouble. I didn't know the letter was so dear. I just wanted to take something, anything that looked valuable, for the baby. It was Jack who read it. Saw it was bad for Mr. Conkling. He said the bit about selling bad steel would ruin him if it was to get out in the papers. My baby, Eddie. He's the only reason I stood them last month at the Conklings. I knew Mr. Conkling weren't going to leave his missus. I was only a parlour maid, but I didn't care. I was happy to have his baby. Him and Mrs. Conkling, I thought they was so kind, until I found out. Then Mrs. Conkling was going to steal my baby for her own. Once I had it, she would fire me and take Eddie for herself. She can't have her own babies. So they used me to get one, to get Eddie. When I found out that was her plan, I left. I didn't know the letter was anything. I thought it might hold £1 or 2. Anyway, Jack, he says Mr. Conklin got the letter from an engineer up at the mill. Said the mill's been making bad steel. High in sulfur is what he called it. The steel's no good, and they put it in the Titanic. It'd be a scandal if it got out. That's why Mr. Conklin wants the letter back. But Jack, he says Conklin'll have to pay us to get it. $5,000. Huh, Mrs. Conklin's probably behind it. All she cares about is a fine name and pots of cash. And a baby. But she won't get Eddie. No, she won't. And if she tries, I'll ruin her. Make her poor as me. Oh, that's Eddie. Bye. Don't forget about our meeting.
Yes, can I help you? I can check valuables, store cargo, list passengers, etc. Have you a name? If you do, I can tell you their cabin number. Mr. Conkling is in cabin B59.
Evening. Where to? Mind the gate. It's a cold night, this. Pretty much everyone's early to bed. Makes me job that much easier. Your deck now.
Good night.
Please leave me.
Care for a blackjack? Well played. You are the winner. Another hand, mon ami? Bonne chance, mon ami. Good night.
Yes? The lounge is closed for the night. We'd open it again only in an emergency, which we are not experiencing at the moment. Good night.
Sorry, the wireless room's off limits to passengers. Yes, yes. This is the officers' promenade. Good night.
Hello. In need of psychic consultation? The Reverend Trout's ministrations. He thinks I'm the devil incarnate. This will make someone a welcome gift, I sense. Good night.
Care for a blackjack? Blackjack. You are the winner. Again? I am afraid fate is not with you tonight. I win. You like to play again? Bonsoir.